6 to 10-year-old over that time. About 12 I stopped. Yeah. All right, anyone else want to shout one out? Or
what was your favorite toy growing up?
Earmuffs, Chucky. My favorite toy growing up? I don't know, I don't have a quick answer to that. I don't think I had, ironically with this, a toy being something that was Andy wanted so badly as a kid. Maybe that made me not really care for toys very much,
Understandable.
I also people ask me, none of you did, thank you for that. I didn't have nightmares, I wasn't traumatized. That's the number one question in my life. But I tell people sometimes the fact that it was a horror film made no difference. I was not afraid of anything there. But I did kind of have the responsibilities of an adult as a child, especially when a sequel happened. And I was lead billing in a sequel for a movie that was very successful. So at 8 years old, I was already working. And then I went on auditions till I was 12. By the time I was 13, I worked at a pizza place and then started waiting tables. And I worked from 6 till now, so get some autographs so I can fucking retire. Excuse me. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I never lived in Hollywood. I didn't want to be famous, honestly. I liked that when I went through that awkward phase that everyone goes through and going into high school, I didn't really look like Andy anymore. I cut the bowl cut out too, that helped. But
good call.
Yeah. I did the, side part thing that we all did for a while. Then I did the middle part. You guys were there. But some of you were. Yes.
What's your favorite movie?
Oh, man. There's a lot of movies that I really love. This movie called Man on Fire. It's not that popular, but I love that. The Crow. One of my favorite movies of all time. Basketball Diaries, one of my favorite movies of all time. Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, one of my favorite movies. I'm big into series, I remember when Oz first came on television on HBO, and I had never seen anything like that, even that format of series, which led to so many other great shows. Sopranos was right after that. I was an Italian from North Jersey. So I absolutely adore The Sopranos. I'm watching it again now for probably the 15th time. Because they're doing that Sopranos rewatch podcast with Michael Imperioli and Steve Sciarpa. It's actually pretty entertaining. So yeah, I kind of like series. Dexter, 24. Those are shows that I love. That was a much longer answer than you needed. I could have said one thing.
I dig it.
All right.
Jennifer Tilly, a fun actress to work with?
So I really wanted to have a scene with her, and there was no scene with her in the script. And Dawn was asked to give a synopsis of the film, and sometimes they ask for that real quick, can we have it in an hour? And it's something that, and he wrote it somehow about Andy is trying to save Nika, but he has to get through Tiffany first, or something to that extent. Something like that, to that extent. And I said to him, people are expecting a showdown with, Tiffany and Andy now. Now that he said that, he's like, oh, you're right. He thought, I won't take the credit, but we talked about it together, and he came up with the idea of doing a phone call between the two of us, between Andy and Tiffany. And I was thrilled about it because I got to do something with Jen. And again, that was a situation where a script supervisor could have read my lines while she was doing her scene, but she asked if I would do it, or someone asked if I would. So while she's in that car, I was laying down in the back seat, feeding the lines to her, and secretly taping it with my phone. I thought it was super cool. But yeah, that was our scene together so far. We'll see. Maybe more someday. I love Jennifer. She's great.
So growing up as a working actor at such a young age, was there anybody you actually ever got starstruck over?
Oh, sure. I mean, like I said, when I met Michael J. Fox, I had lunch with him. It was it was amazing to me. I I had a lot of respect for actors to begin with, yeah. So when I was 11, I got to go to a taping of Saturday Night Live, and I was too young to sit in the crowd. My manager got me, but I was able to watch it from the green room. And I met Dana Carvey. I did all his impressions back and forth with him. I met Chris Farley, Chris Rock, David Spade, Roseanne, John Goodman, all on the same night.
Oh, wow.
Like, yeah. When I was 5 years old, I did a Levi's thing in New York City at the Jacob Javits Center, like on stage dancing for Levi's, and Muhammad Ali was there, and I got a picture sitting on his lap.
Well, that's cool.
It's hanging in my house.
Oh, yeah.
So at 5 years old, I didn't know who that was, but the picture I'm starstruck of still, you know. Yeah, I've been really fortunate that way. Plus, I'm a huge fan of things. Like, I do these conventions, and I meet thousands of people that were this movie meant a lot to them for some reason. The series, I don't mean to diminish it by saying for some reason, but for whatever reason, this movie meant a lot to them. And I can relate to that stuff. Like, usually it's music for me, but like, I'm like the biggest Nine Inch Nails fan in the world. Everybody knows that. I've seen him 70 times in concert. And when I met Trent Reznor, I was shaken like a leaf. Like, it meant everything to me. And I hope nobody idolizes me as much as I do him, because I don't think I deserve it as much as he does. But yeah, I totally get fandom and caring about something that meant a lot to you, whether it was something that got into when you were a child or at some formative time where it was impactful on you, even if it is something small like a horror movie. I hear people tell me all the time, like, when I think about that movie, I think about my sister and watching that and scaring her with that. You know, so yeah, to be kind of intertwined with the memories of so many people in this country and in the world is pretty amazing. So even though I don't act and I'm not really trying to be that in my life, aside from opportunities that might come to me. Maybe someday I'll go on auditions again. I don't know. I don't want to live in the gym every day of my life.
Right.
And auditioning is such a horrible process. Maybe someday. We'll see. But yeah, I still appreciate the business a lot, and especially the craft of it. All right, yeah.
I just have one last thing. It's not a question. I just want to say, man, I really appreciate you coming out tonight.
Oh, thanks, man.
The way that this year has been, I really expected everything I was looking forward to be canceled.
Yeah.
So it means a lot, man. I hope all is well with you and your family.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I mean, this is like the longest I've been without a mask all day. You know, I happen to feel like, despite some people being defiant for defiant's sake and being really against this mask thing, not understanding that it's just kind of a matter of decency and consideration. Maybe it won't help, but maybe it will. And even the fact that it might. So aside from those people that are defiant, I think the majority of us have been very accepting of the concept. Like, yeah, okay, I will do that. You know, it makes sense. And yeah, I think people do need to be safe. A lot of things, I had a lot of conventions this year that were canceled. A lot of things, I was speaking of Nine Inch Nails, I had a seat to go see them inducted to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and that got canceled. A lot of things this year that we were looking forward to changed. But I did a convention several weeks ago in Indianapolis, and I was very hesitant about it. I didn't want to fly, so I drove 1,000 miles to it. And everybody was so respectful. Nobody reached out to try to shake my hand the whole time. Everybody had a mask on around me. When I take pictures with people, I kind of stand behind you, and we might be able to pull the mask down if we're like facing away from each other. But yeah, if you're careful about it, you have sanitizer on you often. Don't breathe in anyone's face. Don't let anyone breathe in your face. Understand that, you know, not to get like deep about it, but when you look at just numbers that are on the news about who died, like, and people talk, oh, it's an inflated number, and whatever that whole conversation is. Anyone who's had one person that they love in their family die before they should have, and before their time should have been, knows that that family never gets over that. Decades go by, and it gets a little easier, but that never goes away. So it's very important to be considerate of everyone, because that one, you know, even if you were responsible for person getting sick who got someone else sick, and someone died, God forbid, like, I don't know, not to make it dark or whatever. But yeah, so I was very willing to do it because I'm very safe about it. Like, I try to keep a distance from everybody the best that I can. And yes, I won't be shaking anyone's hand tonight. Sorry. No hugs. Can't. But thank you guys for coming out during this. That's appreciative too. You guys, you know, I've been cooped up at home all year too, so it's good to have some kind of communal thing with people again. As long as we play it safe and considerate, then we could still make that work. So. All right, guys, thank you for coming. I'll be outside if you have any other questions.